Hello and welcome to this video presentation. My name is Paul Brett. I'm a Senior Software Support Analyst supporting the Transformation Extender product from IBM. The topic for this video is Steps to take when Launcher freezes. Feel free to reach out to me on popular social media channels at Paul Brett IBM. In this practical demonstration, we will show how to proceed if your ITX Launcher process hangs or freezes. First, I will go through the steps to gather diagnostic data. You will run the DTX_UI.sh script on Unix to gather environmental information and interrogate the process. Next, we will go through killing the processes. And finally, we'll go through the steps to clear up before doing a restart. I'll also briefly touch on the steps to take when the launcher crashes. We're going to start this demonstration where I have a connection to my Linux box. I've changed to the ITX 10110 directory and I've run the setup script. Here are the files. You will note that the logs directory is currently empty, as is the TMP directory. In systems, you will see that I have one MSL deployed and ready to go. If we start the system now, the system starts successfully and I have the expected logs. If I show the content of the main compound system.txt file, you will see that the startup status is listed as successful. Now, I don't have a way of making the launcher hang, so for the purposes of this demonstration we're just going to assume that the launcher has hung. Here are the processes that match the pattern ITX, and here is my launcher. This is the Java Event Server wrapper. But for my launcher the process ID is 11180. So I'm going to be running the DTX UI script against that process ID. So what we need to do is come out of the logs directory because we do not want the results stored in this directory. Instead, I'm going to go to TMP and I'm going to run the script from here. Now that the script has finished, if we check the directory content, you will note that we have one log file which has been zipped up and contains all the information that you want to send to the support team. However, because this is a hang, we need to run the script at least 3 times with a short gap in between each run so that the threads can be viewed, and for each result we can check to see whether they are transient or hung. So running the script a second time, all done, waiting for a period of time and then running the script a third time. So these 3 files need to be sent to support, but let's have a quick look at the content and we can see whether they're actually going to be of any use. I've extracted one of the files, and as you can see there are a bunch of files in there. One of them is yet another tar file that contains the complete contents of the logs directory. We're not interested in that for now. The one that we're interested in has a matching pattern that includes the word for the process that we used in the call to the DTX_UI script, which in this case was launcher. So let's have a quick look at the content of this file. Lots of different blocks to this file, but I'm going to be searching for a string that says debugger. Now you can see here, we can see the line using the GDB debugger. This means that the debugger was active and was able to be used. If this line is not there and you see something like debugger not found exiting, then the script results are likely to be of very little use to support. Moving down, we can see thread listing of the launcher, and this can be compared with the other 2 sets of results to see what is really hung. Okay, coming out of these results now, let's move on to the next step, which is killing the process and doing a cleanup. So we're going to assume that we've tried the launcher.sh-stop command and it's come up with something along the lines of launcher possibly in a bad state. So once again I remind you that the launcher process ID was 11180, so I'm going to kill this process, and if I run the ps command again, you will note that the process has gone. Launcher.sh-stop might work now to shut down the Java event process, which it has done. And if I run the ps command again, we should have no processes that have the string matching ITX. Let's move on to the recovery processes. In the root directory of the ITX installation, we have some files that we want to clean up. One of those files is Recover.bin. There is another file that is sometimes there that says launcher.5015. 5015 is a number that could change depending on which port you are using, the default being 5015. And normally I would also delete that file if it was here. In the logs directory, we're going to clean up all this mess. I would do a backup if I wanted to keep them, but I know I don't need them anymore, so I'm getting rid of them. And in the TMP directory, we are going to clean up anything we find here. So now I'm ready for the restart process. So back to the logs directory, and let's fire up the launcher again. Looks like we have a successful startup. Checking the content of the log just in case. Okay, this all looks good. Although I don't have a way of making the launcher hang, I do have a way of making the launcher crash. This is a trigger file that will start the map, and I know that this map is going to crash the launcher. If we now have a look at the content of the logs directory, this is the content of the logs directory now, and you will note that there are multiple .txt files, the original one, and then a new one where the original has crashed and it's tried to restart it. If we come into the TMP directory, you will note that we have 2 abort files and 2 directories that start with the word launcher and then a process ID. Talking of process IDs, if we check the processes, we'll find that there is currently no launcher running. If I go into one of these launcher directories, you will note that I have a core file. I can run the UI script against this core file. Once again, I'm going to go into my TMP directory to run the actual script itself. And this time, after giving the process that we're checking, which is launcher, rather than giving a process ID number, we're going to point directly to the core file to analyze that instead. And there we go, that's the full path to the core file. Now the UI script this time is not analyzing and hooking into a running process, but instead hooking into a core file that has been produced. It is essential that this core file is not moved from the system and analysed on the same system where it was produced. Again, this is going to produce a .z file which you would send to the IBM support team for further analysis. And this is the one for the core dump. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch my video presentation today. If you found the content interesting and informative, please hit that like button. Perhaps leave me a comment. Consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, as I release content such as this on a regular basis. Feel free to reach out to me on popular social media channels at Paul Brett IBM. Thank you.